What is, in your estimation, happening with Saquon Barkley and the Giants right now as we're talking?
Well, my understanding is that they tried to get him signed to a long-term deal before applying the franchise tag. What they wanted to do, Rich, was sign him to a long-term deal because he's the proven commodity. Sign him to the long-term deal and tag Daniel Jones. Kick the can for a year, see if Jones can do a sequel in 2023 to what he did in 2022, and then sign him after that, if need be. So they made an offer to Saquon. I'm told $13 million a year, $26 million guaranteed over the first 2 years. He wanted $16 million a year, not $13 million a year. Now he has called that cap, as the kids say on Twitter, but the numbers aren't unreasonable. They're not implausible. It would make sense for the Giants to have offered $13 a year, and it would make sense for Barkley to have wanted $16 a year. But the Giants' message was, once we apply the franchise tag, the offer is pulled. Now, good luck holding to that if you're the Giants as we get closer to this deadline on Monday. But that's what happened back in March. Now the question is, when will the Giants put 13 back on the table? Will they add to it? And how much more beyond 13 will be necessary to get, say, a long-term deal? And after Monday, you can't do a long-term deal. All you can do is a one-year deal, and $10.1 million is the franchise tender, although the Giants could, in theory, offer him more than that to get him to show up.
So $16 million, what's the significance of that? Is there a significance?
That's the Christian McCaffrey new money average when he signed his new contract when he was with the Panthers a few years ago. And look, the market has gone down, but the salary cap has gone up. I mean, that is not a number that would reflect any type of greed. I think Barkley's very sensitive to the perception he's being greedy because, fans line up behind the owners. They get mad at the players for wanting more, but when you're a running back and you can end on any given play and you're in a position where you can exert leverage, get what you can while you can. 16 is not unreasonable for him to want. And if that's just a negotiating point and you're willing to go down to 14 or 15, but you take 16 to get more than 13, that makes it even more reasonable. So I don't think he ever expected to get 16, but that doesn't mean he wouldn't have asked for 16. We reported back in February that Daniel Jones wanted $45 million or more per year. It turns out he wanted 47. That's what you asked for to get them from the low 30s up to the 40 where it all finally ended.
So why isn't 14 and a half something? I mean, I just don't understand. We've got Austin Eckler coming up in hour number 3, and so obviously this news, his story altogether makes that a theme of today's show. If this was Sesame Street, it would be sponsored by, the market value of running backs right now. That would be the number. And so I just don't get it. I honestly, I don't get it, man. I mean, these guys are significantly as important on the field as any of these top wide receivers who take defenses apart with their speed and their abilities. I don't get it, brother. I just don't get it, what's happening in the NFL right now.
Rich, not much about economics, but I know this, supply and demand. And there is a greater supply of competent running backs coming out of every major college every year. Every major college has a guy who plays tailback at a high level who could, in theory, thrive in the NFL. If you block for him, if he can be taught to hold on to the football when he's attacked, not tackled, but attacked in a way to get him to fumble, and also if you can trust him to pick up backers and defensive backs, he can play running back at the NFL level. There are too many great athletes at the running back position. So what happens is teams draft a guy, chew him up, spit him out, and draft somebody else. That's why the market is where it is. There are too many young running backs where teams can say, we'll go younger, we'll go cheaper, we'll go healthier, and we'll make this guy into a star, and then when the time comes to pay him, we'll just go find somebody else, like the Cowboys did when they let DeMarco Murray walk away. He set the franchise record for single-season rushing yards, and his reward was, see you later. We'll figure something else out. And they ended up getting the guy from Arkansas, Darren McFadden, who had 1,000 rushing yards in the bridge year between DeMarco Murray and Ezekiel Elliott. So there's just too many running backs out there. And I think this goes back to something Ben Tate, former Auburn running back who was drafted, I think, round 2 or 3 by the Texans. He said at one point, if I had to do it all over again, I wouldn't have played running back. So the message out there for the young running backs, the young athletes who are dominant at the youth football level, so the coaches just give the football to them and say run circles around everyone else, they need to resist being pigeonholed as running backs and get themselves into other positions that will have longer career, less wear and tear, and more money.
I mean, the Cowboys are rooting to see Matt Breida start week 1. That's for damn sure. Who's right behind Saquon on the depth chart. Do you think he would hold out? Or do you – I mean, look, you know how this works. It ain't midnight yet. Midnight's coming up on Monday, and you even said that the Giants could throw some more money at him to make sure he reports, or that's over the weekend, right? Or Monday is Monday. That's it.
No. Here's the problem with Monday. The Monday deadline. After that, you can't sign him to a multi-year deal. So whatever leverage he has isn't going to lead to what he wants. His leverage is, I'm not showing up for training camp. I'm not showing up for week 1. I'm not showing up for week 2. And if it works, what are they going to do? It's too late to do the long-term deal. That rule hurts the player because it cuts off the ability to get what you're trying to achieve by using your leverage. You can't do the long-term deal. They could offer him more money. That's never been done for anyone under the franchise tag. What I've seen in the past with Lance Briggs and Albert Haynesworth years ago, you put in a term saying basically we won't franchise tag you next year if you reach certain performance levels. So then the guy has an incentive. He signs a one-year deal and he potentially gets to walk away after that year. So they could do that. But, yeah, the deadline is Monday for the multi-year deal, the long-term security he wants. So now's the time for him to huff and puff. There's no house to be blown down until week 1, but this artificial arbitrary rule only gives him until Monday to get their attention on what he wants on a long-term deal.
Catch the Rich Eisen Show every single day on the Roku channel, 12 to 3 Eastern, for free.